Coming up on Mountain News this morning, lawmakers returned to the state capitol in order to override several vetoes, and a high-profile bill involving sports betting here in the Commonwealth remains in limbo in the General Assembly.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
It's 6 o'clock. Good morning to you on this Thursday. I'm Dakota Makris. Thank you so much for waking up with us, and we hope that if you had some strong winds, not too much damage happened. Let's take it over to Brandon for a look at our forecast. Brandon, as we talked about earlier, we missed a bullet, and this morning it's kind of calm, but the wind, well, it's blowing.
Yes, it is. It's still a bit breezy out there.
Yeah, I don't know how else to describe wind other than it blows, I guess.
Exactly. It's a breezy morning out there, so we're going to continue to watch that. But the cold front hasn't came through yet. That's why the breeze is still kicking up across parts of the region. We'll take a look at that here in just a little bit. But this morning, let's go to the camera network first, and you'll see up on top of Whitesburg Pine Mountain on US 119. We are looking okay up there so far. A little bit of, again, back and forth with rain chances and no rain chances out there this morning. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s still here this morning. Let's see if I can pull up the current wind speeds for just a second. Let's see if I can pop this in here right fast, kind of get you an idea what we're looking at there. So, yeah, pretty stout as we've talked about there, Dakota, and we're going to continue to watch that for a little bit. That's consistent wind speeds between 10 and 15 miles per hour, but you see that wind shift. Some of the wind still coming out of the south, but behind the cold front, shifting in from the northwest. So we're going to continue to watch that trend throughout the day. And as we go to our almanac, we're going to see temperatures right around 65 that will rebound back to today. 69 is the average high. I don't think we're going to get to that record. 87 set back on this day in 2006. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, it was a marathon of overriding vetoes made by Governor Andy Beshear yesterday in Frankfort. Chad Hedrick has a wrap of the day's action.
It's controversial legislation these activists rallied against all day Wednesday.
As we anticipated, the legislature is overturning the veto on House Bill 3. With the override on the vetoes, abortion will be inaccessible in Kentucky immediately.
House Bill 3 is an omnibus abortion bill that sets new restrictions on abortions in Kentucky and will now become law despite protest from activists and some lawmakers.
They're taking away our rights to our body. They are creating laws that are going to hurt us. We know that we are likely to see a 21% increase in maternal mortality because of this bill.
Female children and women will die if you take away access to safe, legal, medical abortion in this state.
The legislation bans abortions after 15 weeks and restricts access to medical abortions. Governor Beshear says he has concerns for victims of rape or incest. He also argued whether the bill is constitutional.
And it is emotional.
Before the Senate voted on the bill, Republican Senator Michael Nemes met with the protesters as they urged him to vote against it.
I thank the opportunity to talk with them in a civil tone.
Nemes ultimately voted for the override, as did all Republicans, one with a stern statement as he voted.
Remind you what Mother Teresa said, that abortion is the worst evil and is the enemy of peace, because if a mother can kill her own child, what will prevent us from killing ourselves or one another?
Chad Hedrick, WYMT Mountain News.
Kentucky's Planned Parenthood chapter and the ACLU both say they plan to each file a lawsuit over House Bill 3. Well, here are some of the other vetoes lawmakers voted to override yesterday. Both chambers have voted to override several of the line item vetoes in the budget. House Bill 9, that's a bill that would fund charter schools in Kentucky. House Bill 8 is the tax modernization bill that includes a reduction in the state income tax. And the line item veto in House Bill 243 that would have prevented lawmakers from getting an 8% raise. Also, one high-profile bill still in limbo in the General Assembly is House Bill 606. Now, that's the sports gambling bill. It has already passed the House but has not had a Senate vote. It received 2 readings on the Senate floor and has now been assigned to the Economic Development Committee. Well, that committee's chair, Senator Will Schroeder, says he supports the bill but says they are still working on getting enough votes to pass it. The Crown Act hasn't seen any movement in Frankfort for weeks now. The legislation would ban hair-based discrimination. It's meant to protect people with traditional hairstyles like braids, locks, and twists. A House committee approved the bill March 14th. It has not received a vote in the full House. Also in Frankfort yesterday, state officials paid tribute to Corbin native Nancy Mitchell. Mitchell, who was married to Congressman Hal Rogers' longtime field representative Bob Mitchell, died back in October 2021. Legislators discussed their experiences and connections to her and issued a resolution offering condolences and honoring the legacy she leaves behind.
We'll dearly miss her compassionate heart and her smile that lit up every room. And now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the members of the Senate hereby express their most profound sympathy upon the passing of Nancy Klaus Mitchell.
Mitchell was the first woman ever elected to the Corbin City Commission and also served 2 terms as vice mayor of Corbin. It was one of many hats she wore throughout her career. A little more than 2 years ago, our country, well, looked much different. Lockdowns, masks, and COVID was all anyone talked about. Well, we met with a local health leader to ask them how well we are doing in our fight against COVID 2 years later. 2 years ago, a team from the CDC visited the Kentucky River District Health Department to give health department staff tips on how to handle the pandemic.
They really trained us on disease investigation, contact tracing, different things that we need to do.
The team taught health department staff how to test for COVID.
We do a lot of testing in our counties where it's not readily available from our FQHC partners and our rural health clinic partners.
Health department staff worked hard on their relationships with nursing homes. Public Health Director Scott Lockard says no matter how hard nursing homes tried to keep the virus out, it always found its way in.
COVID hit these long-term care facilities. They were most likely to have the negative impact because of the fragility.
More than 33,000 cases of COVID have been reported in the Kentucky River District. 1 out of every 3 people tested positive.
Reflecting back over the past 24 months, there were some things we did extremely well. There was lessons learned. There were some things we didn't do well, and we've learned from that.
The state has transitioned to a community level map, meaning a community has a low, medium, or high level of concern. Every county is in the green with 1 in the yellow.
It tells you the recommended suggestions or the recommendations that you should implement depending upon what level your community is in.
And hoping no one goes back into the red. In Hazard, Dakota Makris, WYMT Mountain News. As of Monday, Knott County had the highest incidence rate at 10.6%. Bluegrass Care Navigators set up outside of the Hazard Coffee Company yesterday to spread awareness about National Healthcare Decision Day. That is actually Saturday, but health leaders were aiming to get the word out about making sure you know your loved one's wants and wishes before it is too late, offering forms and advice along with free coffee from Hazard Coffee Company.
It's really important that you have those conversations. It's a hard conversation to have, but it's really important that you know what your family's wishes are.
Well, if you are interested in learning more, you can call Bluegrass Care Navigators at 606-439-2111. Well, whether it's in school, at work, or even at home, well, stressors are all around us, and it's up to us to recognize when the stress is becoming too much. WYMT's Alyssa Williams has more on how you can avoid unneeded stress.
It's a silent killer.
It really has serious detrimental effects on mind and body as a whole.
Stress is inevitable in our daily lives, and the effects of it can often go unrecognized.
That is often disregarded and affects every single organ of the human body, from the skin to the tiniest blood vessels and nerves.
Interventional cardiologist at Baptist Health Corbin, Dr. Prem Subra, says stress causes your body to produce the hormone cortisol, which can increase blood sugar and blood cholesterol levels.
People often gain weight, and their blood pressure also increases because of that. And all these in turn increases your risk of heart attack and stroke, and it's a vicious cycle.
And Medical Director of Psychiatric Services at Baptist Health Corbin, Dr. Mazar Salim, says although the signs are subtle, your body will communicate when the stress is too much.
If we become irritable, if we become impatient, if we feel that our hearts are beating faster, if we are restless, if we're not sleeping good, if we're not resting good, if we're eating too much, that's a sign of stress.
But both Dr. Subra and Dr. Salim say there are ways to cope with stress, including self-care, maintaining emotional and physical boundaries, and frequent exercise.
The best way to mitigate the harmful effects of stress on your body is physical activity. I mean, you don't have to hit the gym every day, but just walking 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week can do wonders to your body.
Reminding others that the body never lies. In Hazard, Alyssa Williams, WYMT, Mountain News.
Well, doctors say sleep also plays a key role in how stressed you are. Unhealthy sleep habits increase cortisol levels, which can create a multitude of other mental and physical issues.
6:11 on the money this morning here, and we're tracking the cold front that is still moving through parts of our region this morning. Even though most of the rain has went away, let's take a look at the satellite and radar loop for the state level. And look how fast those clouds are clearing out once the front goes by. Western Kentucky already clear, approaching I-65 starting to clear out there this morning. And once we get that cold front out of here, which is basically between Lexington and Louisville, it's going to all be going pretty quickly. 48 Lexington, 46 in Louisville right now, 54 in Somerset, 52 Monticello, 61 though London, 60 in Jackson. It's kind of hanging on right there across parts of the northern half of the area down to the south, a little cooler. Clintwood though up to 58, Wise at 54. Middlesboro at 59. A lot of 60s out there. Wind gust across our region. We're still seeing 20, 25 plus mile per hour gust across our area. So again, keep that in mind as you travel this morning. 65 this afternoon. We're going to go down for a little while longer into the low 50s, and then we'll rebound by this afternoon with some sunshine. Skies will clear. Rain chances wrap up, and as we head deeper into the forecast, we are going to see a drier trend as we head toward Easter weekend. But unfortunately, more chances return early next week. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you again. Coming up, Russia announces its own sanctions against hundreds of U.S. lawmakers. We'll tell you about that in just a few minutes.